I was thinking today, we certainly have new rumors and suggestions coming out around the Vancouver Canucks, and that could be related to the Vancouver Canucks. But I was thinking, looking at the players that are available, and we're going to be talking about that in this video, what assets would you be willing to give up as a Vancouver Canucks fan? Would you be willing to give up like a Mancini? Is that a player that you would be willing to part with? Like, I really like him quite a bit for the Canucks, and my take keeps on going back to you got to give something to get something. You're not going to get the center that you want or the forward that you want for nothing. But guys, welcome back to Pixel Plus Hockey. If you could make sure to hit that subscribe button, it would be so greatly appreciated. And thank you so much to those that are already supporting me as well. You know what? Maybe I jumped the gun with Victor Mancini. Like, I tend to be a Victor Mancini truther. Like, I actually think he's a pretty good player. I'm kind of excited for him for the Vancouver Canucks. I'm getting a little bit off base here and rambling a little bit. Not specifically about what the video is going to be about, but man, he's just a player. Like, I really think the Canucks have a good one there. And he's a right shot D. He's got some size. And I'm like, man, I was wondering, like, you could really use this guy as an asset to try to bring in the center that you want. Like, I'm sure a lot of teams are all over that guy. Because again, we know when the Canucks were going after Marco Rossi, like, we know they offered their first round selection for Rossi. We know that. And I'm wondering that the Wild weren't willing to do it because they didn't meet what they wanted. And I'm kind of wondering, like, what else was in that deal? What else did they want? Did they want a Mancini? What other prospect did they want in there to make the deal go through? Because as I said before, we're not going to be talking about Marco Rossi specifically in this video, but he's just a player I really envision in a Canucks jersey. But the main part of this video is going to be surrounding two different players that we have to talk about that absolutely could really, really help the Vancouver Canucks. Number one is Casey Mittelstadt. We have from Murphy here. Casey Mittelstadt is going to be on the move according to multiple sources. It's really interesting that I completely forgot Mittelstadt actually plays for the the Boston Bruins now. And I was like, the Boston Bruins are probably looking around, imagining that they can probably get a decent amount of assets for these centers that they do have, and what could they attain. Now, Casey Mittelstadt he's getting paid about 5.7. He has a couple of years left on his contract, and it does expire in an unrestricted free agent status. So that makes it a little bit of an issue, but you still have 2 years with this player. In 22-23, he actually scored 59 points. Now, he hasn't really ever hit that ceiling again in the NHL. He has the ability to be a 50-point player, but unfortunately, he just hasn't. He did that with the Sabres, I think, and then he just kind of went back to being like a 45-point guy. But I'm not sure. When it comes to Mittelstadt, he is a player that I would not be willing to give up that much for. Like, I would be willing to take him, but I don't look at him as like the number one center that I want them to focus on, if you understand what I mean. And there's more pretty heavy Boston Bruins rumors saying that there is pretty heavy trade rumors surrounding Korpisalo and also another center, surprise surprise, in Pavel Zacha. I'm wondering for the Boston Bruins, what is their plan for this season? Are they just looking to compile assets? Because if the Vancouver Canucks can go ahead and get a Pavel Zacha, that is a player I would be willing to give up some assets for, because I think that he is a proper center. Certainly not a center that's going to score like 80 points, but I personally like him a lot more than Casey Mittelstadt. Because again, like I was just saying, I think the Boston Bruins might be looking for a rebuild here. Because here's the thing. This next year's draft, top 5 and top 10, it's the McKenna draft, so you're going to have a serious superstar there. They have 2 first-round selections already, and you're thinking to yourself, well, maybe they're trying to get those selections to potentially get a game-changing player and do like almost a rebuild on the fly. Like, maybe they might not be that good next season. Maybe they would even be willing to trade Swayman. So Mittelstadt and Zacha are guys that can certainly play center, and they're probably testing the market because of that. Like I always say, some hockey analysts are almost too harsh on teams, and it's interesting. Jonas Siegel, I don't know if you guys know who he is kind of harsh on on teams about this. Like, I remember listening to a podcast and he was like, listen, I don't care. It's their job to find a center. You can't just say it's hard. But at the end of the day, if there's no centers available and teams are asking a lot, it's kind of difficult. I mean, this year we have McTavish, we have Rossi, we have Pavel Zacha, we have Mittelstadt. These are guys that are centers. They can play center, but again, what I'm so interested to see is what is the cost for any of these players? And even if you're a Canucks fan, again, would you be willing to give up any of those players? Because it could just be a ridiculous amount. It's not that the Canucks haven't tried. They've already certainly been trying on Marco Rossi, which I love to see, but a first-round pick, again, wasn't enough to get it done. Typically I want to let bygones be bygones, but I don't know. I still keep on going back to this, that maybe they should have at least tried to look at Pius Suter, a little bit much. Because Pius Suter is a pretty good player. He's a very good two-way player. I don't think that he got that much in St. Louis. And I'm wondering I wonder what happened with Pius Suter. I wonder what was going on there. Was he just... I don't know. Did he just not want to resign? I don't really think that's true, though, because there's so many players in the Vancouver Canucks organization. Demko, we got a lot of Americans, Brock Besser, that, he definitely wanted to resign there. So I don't really see why Suter would not want to resign with the Canucks. It just seems to me like if they were willing to ante up and give him that, they, maybe, but also maybe they just didn't want to, want him that bad. Maybe they just didn't, maybe the Vancouver Canucks just didn't think he was worth that, if you understand what I mean. But I don't know. I personally probably would have just tried to re-sign him, in my opinion. But anyways, guys, I'm going to leave this video here. If you could make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that, guys. And make sure to have a great day. Goodbye, guys.